Behind it, you already know who it is. It's the radioactive pop with Danny Limelight, United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance blog every week. You heard it here first.
Hey guys, check this out. I am officially now sponsored by Dubby. Dubby is a clean energy drink made to give you focus with no crash. If you guys are like me, you're always needing a burst of energy, especially with one with no crash. Dubby contains vitamins, amino acids, a nootropic, and 150 milligrams of caffeine. It keeps me awake with no jitters, guys. Check it out. Merch link is in the bio. Dubby. It would help. It would help if I had the right button pushed. Hey, listen to this for a second and tell me what you think about it.
It's my pleasure and honor to tell you that going forward, this company will be called NWA Exodus Pro. So these are in real terms. The NWA Exodus Pro brand from Cleveland, Ohio will now represent NWA champions coming to town. And very soon, the NWA Exodus Pro Heavyweight Championship will be recognized as a title by the National Wrestling Alliance.
That's interesting. NWA Exodus Pro. There's a lot to unpack there. And we're going to do that on Thursday. It's a tease, fellas and ladies. We're going to talk about that on Thursday. Me, DKM, and Jaden will talk about that because, well, first and foremost, Jaden is somebody who used to work with the NWA as an associate member. We're also going to spend some time talking about it, doing a deep dive of what this could potentially mean. But all we know now is that the NWA is going to be crowning an NWA Midwest Championship, whose center base of operations is going to be Cleveland, Ohio, and Exodus Pro. But that championship will be a part of the NWA going forward. This isn't like a title recognized. Let me rephrase that. It'll be a title that is officially recognized by the National Wrestling Alliance. So it's a very interesting time. You know, when we talked about what the NWA's 20-year plan that famously Billy and David Logano would talk about was this 20-year focus, this 20-year plan, and not once did we ever hear about a return to the territory system. But lo and behold, I think that's what we're approaching now, is this territory, this brave new world. And I don't know exactly what to think about it. I'm not exactly sure how I feel about it, but we're going to talk about it again at length on Thursday. And I hope you guys will tune in for that because I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Now, what I can tell you is this. Tonight, there will be a new NWA World Television Champion. It's something that I've been waiting for quite some time. It's something that I've been very excited to talk about, but it's just been, well, it hasn't aired yet, and I hate spoilers. So your boy J Cal isn't going to spoil it for you, but man, to know that we are going to have another new television champion. This is one of my favorite belts, guys. I mean, right here. Right there. Look at me. Now look at you. Now look at me. Now look at you. I love that championship, and I love what it means. Because let's look at this history of the title, right? Let's look at the history of the TV title. When the TV title was reinvigorated into the NWA, and again, there was such a high demand for that title. I was sitting there at the Crockett Cup where James E. Cornette, Corny, if you will, sitting alongside William Patrick Corgan, taking questions from a VIP meet and greet that I did not pay for. And as they were talking about the future of the NWA, somebody randomly asked, hey, when are we going to see that return of the TV title, which Billy shot down and said, you need to have television before you can have a TV title. Now, we still don't have a TV show per se. We have a live stream or a video show, but all the same, the principle behind having a TV championship is having someone who can defend the title on a weekly basis. It could be the highlight of each and every program. And over the course of the last, 4 years that we've had Power on, we've had some pretty remarkable TV champions. Now, remember, the first television champion wasn't crowned until Hard Times. That was the first, and I think maybe the only pay-per-view of 2020, right? And that was in January of 2020 when Ricky Starks outlasted the likes of Matt Cross, Tim Storm, and eventually a future world champion in Trevor Murdoch to become the world television champion. His title reign on paper lasted 2 days, but via the TV show, he was champion up until episode 20 of Power. Sorry, business stuff real quick. He was champion on Power until episode 20, where he lost to who? Zicky Dice, the Dice Man, if you will. And Zicky Dice was looking at that title since day one. Remember, he was efforting to get that title shot. He was in one of the early elimination spots to get into the tournament. He got into the tournament and still lost, but he was very, very edgy about. Edgy, that's the right word. Very confident that he would be a future TV champion. He got into the tournament, lost, but kept challenging the man who won, Ricky Starks, and lost the first time they faced off, but would win the second time. And he would hold that title during the pandemic, which sucked for Zicky Dice. So let's be honest, he didn't get an opportunity to really roll with that championship. And I honestly believe had the pandemic not happened, we might have seen that title bounce back and forth between Starks and Zicky Dice, but that never happened. Bummer, but it never happened. So then we get to, of course, towards the middle of the pandemic. Primetime Live starts running in Long Beach, California at an undisclosed studio, Power Studio, Thunder Studio. And there was no audience allowed, but your boy Jay got in for the first episode. And with nobody allowed in there, they ran wrestling events that were available on Fight TV. And of course, we got to see Zicky Dice versus the Pope in a very well. They first faced off in a tag match, which featured Zicky Dice teaming with Effie against the Pope, who was teaming with Watts from the United Wrestling Network. It was a killer match, and it really set the tone where Dice and Pope were going to just have at it. Pope wins the title, and it really changes everything. Dice almost disappears from the NWA at this point. We don't see Zicky Dice again until the 75th anniversary show. Pope goes on to have a pretty incredible run with the TV title when Power comes back in 2021. Obviously, the main feud for that title at that time was Tyrus. Tyrus takes that title and through a very long, convoluted amount of title defenses, eventually has his best of 7 and gets an opportunity to cash in that opportunity to challenge the world champion, who was Trevor Murdoch. Then the title goes vacant Jordan Clearwater wins that title at Hard Times 2022. Jordan Clearwater, who was somebody I thought had so much potential, and I still do, but just I don't think he's realized it yet in the NWA. Has that title until he meets the wall that is known as Thom Latimer. Thom Latimer spends most of 2023 just defending that title anywhere, everywhere he can. He gets that 7, and he makes the promises ahead of the 75th anniversary show that he was going to challenge the winner of the bull rope match between EC3 and Tyrus. And lo and behold, he did. We'll see that match later this month at Samhain. But that opened this vacancy for the television title, and the same names, familiar faces were involved. Again, we saw Jordan Clearwater in the tournament. We saw, surprisingly, Zicky Dice back in the NWA. He's in the tournament. Mims gets in there. You got to remember, Mims was one of these guys that was challenging for that TV title very frequently when Tyrus was champion. And you saw, I believe, Bulletproof Troop was in there. So they had some really good talent involved with those 2 elimination matches. Now, personally, I would have liked to see a tournament for the TV title. I feel like it warrants it, but of course, they wanted to fill that title. They wanted to put a new champion in play, and we'll see the result of that tonight, whether it be Mims or whether it be Zicky Dice. I'm very much excited to see who walks away as your new television champion and which opportunities will open up for either Dice or Mims, because now you have these opportunities, best of 7 series. Now you're able to defend that TV title at Exodus Pro, and those matches will now be recognized. So I think it's going to be very, very cool. And again, we're going to have a new TV champion tonight. And I hope it's one that we're all happy for. So, let me take a drink, because your boy Jay, I'm still not 100%. My voice, I'm about to lose it. And I didn't even say what's up to all my friends in the chat. So let me do that real quick, because there's a lot of you, and I like you guys. So Steve G's here. What's up, Steve? Sam Retro's in the house. That guy Shrek is here. Fiona's here. Fiona's my girl. What's up, Fee? How you been? Willie's in the house. James Bell is here. Kayfabe Shorts. Sup, dogs? Territories, let's effing go. Yeah, man. You guys we'll be talking about the territories in depth on Thursday. I don't know how I feel yet. Initially, I'm thinking this is great, but what if it's not? Well, I'll talk about it on Thursday. I don't want to ruin a good time here. Let's see. Nostalgic Wrestling Alliance. Hey, it's true though, right? We love the nostalgia. New Japan event Monday morning in America, also known as New Japan Evening, had 3 title changes. When was that, Shrek? Retro's going to be at the first NWA Exodus show. That's cool, man. There are a lot of rumors of who's going to be next, and I'm kind of curious as to who you guys think will be next. If you want to list it in the chat, I'm very curious as to who you think might be the next member. The NWA YouTube Championship, there you go. You can't even use that, because at some point Google will be like, hey, take that YouTube off your title name. Chris says, let's not go overboard with Exodus Pro. Has to show me it's worth watching. I mean, look, they've had 2 shows already, and I haven't seen it either, but on paper, they look like very interesting shows. I know that they just recently brought in, for the last show that was, I think, Saturday, they had brought in the Southern Six to take on EC3 and 2 of the talents that wrestle for Exodus Pro. I know that Thom Latimer was there. I also know that they brought in the women's champion from Mission Pro, who her name escapes me at the moment, but she just won the Ohio Valley Women's Championship. So she's somebody that you definitely want to be looking out for. And who knows, maybe she gets into the NWA and becomes a Triple Crown, holding 3 women's championships. I mean, it's possible. Willie mentioned Coastal Championship Wrestling from the Carolinas, a territory system of the NWA. It's possible. Chris says, Let's focus on one or two members actually promoting the brand first. Again, baby steps. I think that's the best direction you can go for this particular news, this particular shift in philosophy for the NWA. Matthew says, does Power get a bump in the Tuesday Night Wars tonight? Power's the pre-show, baby. They're not. Look, I doubt they get any kind of juice at all from what's happening tonight. Now, if the NWA was smart, well, I don't even want to say it's smart. If they were ballsy, right, they would go take advertising dollars and spend it on tonight's USA program and on tonight's AEW program, and try to get some, commercial on those shows. To be okay, but what are you advertising? Advertising Samhain? Are you advertising? Power? The return on investment isn't so high. We're talking big network dollars, but I mean that'd be a very ballsy move if they ran some commercials on Power, or excuse me, on USA or TBS tonight to hype up the pay-per-view. I mean, I guess you could do it if in those markets, in that Cleveland, Ohio market, but probably not nationally. Fiona said someone told her last night to bring in 2 promotions a month. Man, that's how you end up with shit garbage that you don't want associated with. You guys got to remember, towards the end of Bruce Tharp's era in the NWA, there were a handful of really good promotions still promoting that NWA banner, and there was a bunch of shit promotions promoting the NWA banner. You got to be very selective, and it wasn't just the Bruce Tharp era. We can go back to the era before that, which was highlighted with the Dave Marquez of the world, the Ken Taylors and those guys, and there was a ton of shit promotions associated with the NWA then as well. So I'm with you guys. If this is where we're going, I do not want them to start just loading up on crap wrestling promotions to be a part of the NWA. I think that's a terrible idea. Sean Mega's here. What's up, Sean? I like Sean Mega. I haven't seen you around a bit. Is it the territory news? Is that what got you jacked up? Steve G says, is NWA's Saturday show ever coming back? I don't think it is. I think it's done. I think it's ran its course. If we ever get another program, it probably will not be the same. Now, if your boy Jay is got the stroke, if someone's letting me do what I want to do, whatever we do on Saturday would be associated with showcasing these new territories. But I'm not holding my breath for that either. We're not there yet. Again, the only promotion announced to have this relationship with the NWA is Exodus Pro. Everything else is rumor and innuendo. Yeah, that TV title, man. I always have dug that TV title. Of course, Ric Flair in the 10 pounds of gold or big gold belt looked impressive as hell. But seeing that TV title around the waist of Arn Anderson, ooh, goosebumps, baby. Goosebumps. I used to love seeing that. And I really feel like that TV title warrants a place in the history of the NWA. In fact, if your boy Jay had been running the NWA, we would have never brought back the national championship. The TV title would have been the belt I would have brought back, especially knowing that the plans were to eventually start on television again, on Power. I definitely would have brought the TV title back. The Scott Steiner, was Scott Steiner an NWA TV champion or WCW TV champion? Now you've got my my mind flowing here, and I think he was a WCW TV champion. And I know you could kind of make the argument, well, weren't they one and the same? Yes and no. At some point, they quit being the same title. And as I look here, it shows that he was a WCW. He was an NWA World Tag Team Champion, WCW World Tag Team Champion, WCW Television Champion in 99, 98. But he did hold a TV title earlier, though, didn't he? Or am I dreaming? All right, well, nevertheless, I think that was a WCW title. Rick Steiner. There it is. Yep, there it is. You're right, Chris. You're right. Mike says, I wonder what Tony thinks if he wants to get involved again. He wasn't too thrilled with several outcomes. I don't think Tony is going to do anything with the NWA at this point. I don't think he needs to. I think he's got enough on his plate under the current set of circumstances. I don't think that's ever going to happen. Fiona says, I reckon JCP in Tennessee. That's a good guess. I know. I mean, Joe Casano was on our podcast. He talked at length about his involvement with the NWA. Joe is a guy who literally worked for the NWA back in the territory days. And I could see that being a beautiful fit for the NWA for Jim Crockett Promotion, or excuse me, Joe Casano Promotions. It makes a lot of sense, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen. I mean, in that Tennessee area, there's several promotions to me that make a ton of sense. The least of which, you got NWA, you got Innovative Pro Wrestling, who once was an NWA territory known as NWA Smoky Mountain. You've got Crossfire Wrestling Federation. What is it? Crossfire Wrestling, which is based, I believe, in Tennessee as well. That's run by Kenzie and Kylie's family, the Henry family, excuse me. So, yeah, that's another promotion I could see going there. You guys got me talking territories now. I'm starting to go down this road. Retro wants Joe Casano to join. I think he would be a good fit. Heeb says, I feel like Joe Casano is a shoo-in for the next down the road. I bet we also get Ego Pro in Chicago, headed by Robert Anthony. In some ways, right? In some ways, it's already happened, right? Didn't they run 2 shows at like a I got to choose my words wisely here. I think they did 2 shows at a camp for kids with disabilities. And I don't know specific what the disabilities were. But I think he held 2 shows under the NWA banner at those events, and which is great. I think that's awesome. It makes a lot of sense. If Billy's going to go into business with people, it's going to be with people he trusts, right? We know that about Billy Corgan. We 100% know that Billy will not go into business with somebody he doesn't trust. So, anyone who thinks that Dave Marquez is going to jump back in the NWA picture, that's not going to happen. There's no relationship there at this point. Now, things could change, obviously, but at this point, don't hold your breath. ELP and Hukaleo, I can't pronounce his name, are tag team champions, and Tama Tonga is the never open weight champion. I like Tama a lot, and I'm kind of surprised that he hasn't touched down in the States as a babyface somewhere, although he makes a great heel as well. Willie's already calling for All Japan. I don't think that's going to happen. Remember, we're talking affiliates, right? We're talking about promotions who are going to benefit from the NWA. And I'm not trying to be cyclical or vicious or mean, but what can the NWA bring to All Japan that they don't already have? The same thing if you tell me Pro Wrestling Noah, what reach does the NWA bring Pro Wrestling Noah that they don't already have? Same thing with AAA. Now, the AAA in Mexico, there is a benefit, right? It opened up a door for some American talent to come to Mexico, or I should say, not American talent, because Tom went down there, so did Markova. U.S.-based talents could go down to Mexico and compete with AAA, and it also allowed some of the AAA talent to come up to the United States and compete in the NWA ring. So there has been some mutual benefits in that partnership, but I don't think there's anything official with AAA, and much like I don't think there would be anything official with All Japan or anyone else. Mike says Ohio Valley. Yeah, I mean, that would be a big get, but my thing is this. Ohio Valley has a similar trajectory as the NWA. How is Ohio Valley benefiting from working with the NWA? That's the way I would look at it. Who benefits from working with the NWA? Exodus Pro? Absolutely. They're a brand new wrestling promotion. The world champion of the NWA runs Exodus Pro. So, yeah, there's a lot of benefit there, but there's no direct relationship between Ohio Valley and the NWA. You could say EC3, but really EC3 is just a wrestler for Ohio Valley. I don't think he's an ownership. I don't think he has any creative control. I think he's just an on-air talent. Could be wrong, but I don't see how that would work. It's not like Al Snow is like, hey, NWA, Billy, give me a call. Let's talk business. If I did hear that, then it'd be a little bit different. Chris says, All Japan sucks. Keep them away from the NWA. It's rough. I don't think they suck. Which is why Tony won't get back. I think many S promotions, Tharp got him in because they gave money. It made Tony's promotion look like S when those guys came in. Yeah, but I still don't think that's the reason to stay out of it now. Tony Givens is who we're talking about. He would be a guy that I think would benefit from working with the NWA. But, I mean, again, he's kind of making his own way without the NWA, has been for several years. I don't, it wouldn't hurt him. I don't know how much it helps him. It was the territory news. All right. Dow's back. He says, hey guys, I've been having some issues with UPS. Sorry to hear, man. Computer's not doing so good. I used to have a paperclip for the Western States Heritage Championship when played this old dice wrestling game. I know exactly that dice game that you're talking about. I think I played the same one. I used to love that Western States Heritage Championship. They revitalized it during the Tharp era with it was what was the name of that promotion? They're based in California, which is why I should know it, but I don't. Anyways, they had that title. Vendetta Pro brought that title back, and they had actually Jarrett win the title in the inaugural tournament, so it was kind of cool, very fitting. Scoop says maybe 2 or 3 territories over the next year, monthly shows and tapings, hopefully. That would be great. I think that would be very, very cool. Most people don't know WCW is not the NWA belts, as it just changed name. Yeah, no, David Arquette never had NWA nothing. He wrestled for the NWA. He wrestled against Josephus, right? I would have brought back the NWA North American Heavyweight Championship, then abandoned the National Heavyweight Championship. I think the North American Championship makes sense if and only if there's going to be some affiliates north of the border and south of the border. If they're going to have a title that travels between the U.S. to Canada and Mexico, then it would make a lot of sense to have a North American title. The national, as it stands now, the national title only shows up nationally, right? Only shows up in the U.S. They didn't even bring it to Mexico when they went down there. So I don't feel like that's going to be urgent for them. But we will have to kind of wait and see. Let's see. All right. Where was I? More of your comments. I think Billy will do a much better job than Tharp with the territories. Yes. Well, I mean, look, Billy has a hell of a lot more to lose at this point, right? Because Tharp won the NWA through a lawsuit. He didn't buy it. He didn't pay for it. It was more or less handed to him. And I feel like he had less to lose. He was about getting money. Billy, I don't think Billy cares about the money. I mean, let me rephrase that. Billy's not going to throw his good money after bad money. He's not just going to throw money down to make this a thing. It has to make sense for him. Yes, money's an issue, but I don't think that's why he's doing the territories. I don't think it's a dollar issue. I think it's more about just trying to get more visibility to what you said, Sean. I think I read on social media that some EXO Pro content from this weekend will be on Power tonight. Yeah, I saw a segment with Mr. Thom Latimer and Alex Taylor, which was an interesting pairing, getting ready to go eat food. And Tom suggested that maybe some of that Exodus Pro content will be available tonight on Power. Dow says Tony Khan has the Ring of Honor to play with, so I don't see NWA or Ring of Honor actually. Yeah, I don't think so either. Oh, okay. Sorry. Willie says, what about pro wrestling indies in Texas and Louisiana? So initially, I would have thought, if we did this 2 years ago, I would have thought that Wildcat would have been one of the top promotions right away. But it seems like there's been a lot of distance between the two promotions. So I don't think, I don't know if they're on the short list, but I wouldn't mind it. Let's see. Jay's correct, something farms. Anthony was booking for some promotion in the area, and I think the last summer he was in charge of wrestling after minor league baseball games. Yeah, and it was cool. Like, it was a good event, feel good moment. I don't know that it was a lot of NWA talent, but they promoted it as an NWA event, which is great. Creates goodwill for the community with the NWA. I'm always for those things. Chris says this show has turned into a promotional based territory show, and it was kind of what I was hoping to avoid, but we'll roll with it. Is members important or strategic partnerships? We can have NWA New Jersey or aligned with Progress, NOAH, and AAA, who might not join but share talent. With partnering with another promotion, there's ego there, right? There's always going to be this ego. I'm not going to send you my best talents unless you're going to put them over, and I'm not going to take your talents unless I could use them to put my talent over. There's a lot of issue working with a partner. Whereas if this is a group that wants to work with you, they want to represent you in a certain market, then they kind of have to be dictated what they can and cannot do, right? Like, Pori Hemplo. If EC3 wasn't your world champion, let's say Thom Latimer wins it at October 28th, Samhain. If Thom Latimer is the world heavyweight champion and he goes to Exodus Pro, I think that the Exodus Pro needs to have the okay from the boss to put the title on somebody else. I don't think it could just be like, hey, we're going to do this. And obviously, you won't have that with AAA or NOAH or whoever the strategic partners you're alluding to, Chris. But I think at the same time, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Strategic partners are good, and it helps to create brand visibility. And like I said, I'm kind of torn on this idea anyways of the territory. Part of me feels like there could be some positive. Part of me feels like there's a lot of negative, and we'll get into that on Thursday. Dow says the NWA is really small. It's like Impact or something MLW, maybe smaller, but has the name recognition, but it's not really got a tape library, only a bit of it. Well, no, it doesn't have a tape library outside of the Lightning One era. The whole idea that this is the same NWA that we grew up with it isn't. Prior to Billy Corgan buying the NWA, it was owned by Bruce Tharpe, but Bruce Tharpe didn't own the library of the NWA. Bruce Tharpe had access to the Paul Bosch library, but did not own, outside of his own wrestling promotion, any of the NWA history. And the same thing before, like during, prior to Bruce Tharpe owning the NWA, when it was a member-based situation, only the promoters owned their own history. There was no like collective. There wasn't the brand didn't own anything. The brand owned the titles, and that's it, and the name. It didn't own anything. Sean says New Japan and AAA and CMLL will work with anyone. They're still working with MLW. The only one AAA won't work with is CMLL. And I think New Japan, because they're loyal to CMLL, won't work with AAA. Hollywood Haley James, Holly Swag is the next star to have her become NWA Women's Champion over Kenzie. I don't know about that, man. I don't know. I'm not ready just to start putting all the Ohio Valley talent over. And I know who Haley J is. I know who Holly Swag is. I know she competes in WOW and as well as Ohio Valley. I just, no, I'm not ready to put her over Kenzie Page. I think Kenzie Page could be a bigger star than Haley J. I could be wrong, but I think Kenzie Page has a much higher trajectory. There's a small wrestling promotion in Buffalo that Haley James wrestled Piper's daughter in Nickel Pro Wrestling. Maybe they can work with the NWA. I mean, sure, all of these things are within the realm of possibility. But again, Billy's going to look for quality over quantity. And if he only adds Exodus Pro in 2023, then I don't think that's going to shock anybody. And if he adds maybe another 1 or 2 promotions in the new year, wouldn't shock anybody. But these are going to be people he trusts, people he has an existing relationship with. When someone said Robert Anthony, Ego Anthony, that is a strong possibility. The Dog Pound down in Texas might be a possibility. I know it's more of a school than a promotion, but I could see those events becoming NWA events because of the relationship that both Rodney Mack and Jazz have with the NWA. I mean, they're both currently working with the NWA, so I could see stuff like that. I just don't imagine that every promotion out there who wants to work with the NWA is going to get an open door. I don't think FUW is going to be a part of the NWA. I don't think there's a lot of promotions out there I think aren't going to be a part of the NWA. Roswell says they basically have a territory set up in place. Think about the promotions the NWA has already worked with for pay-per-views. Exactly. There's a handful of them that make a lot of sense. But that doesn't guarantee that that's going to happen either. The great Hisa's here. And if you want to know more about the great, rich history of the NWA, you should check out Hisa's page, Wrestling Title Histories. They've got so much in-depth about who were the board members during those lean years. I mean, people don't know, but at one point, the biggest member in the NWA didn't even have a promotion. Steve Rickard in New Zealand. I feel like anyone that joins the NWA will be new promotions or Billy's friends. I have a hard time believing people dropping their branding that they worked hard to build since 2017 just to add the NWA. That's a good point too. Again, you're losing your identity. Exodus Pro, although has had 2 shows and it is EC3's baby, what is it losing? 2 years worth of or 2 shows worth of promoting a name? I don't feel like that's a big loss. I don't if you've been around for the last 20 years, do you want to give up your identity to become the NWA? You're only an associate, an affiliate. You're not voting on who's the world champion. We're not talking about full membership here. We're talking about being associated with the NWA. NWA doesn't need to do business with AEW. I was hoping Wildcat would come on. That was the next promo on my list. Hey, it still might. Speaking of Marquez, I wonder how he feels about it. We know he voiced opinions against the territories. He still is against the territories. His vision of the NWA, what he had in the NWA, I think is very different than what Billy's hoping to accomplish. But you got to understand when Dave dealt with his NWA, that version of the NWA, they had to fight over what color ink to order for their pens. It was stupid. And he has every right to be frustrated with that version of the NWA. I don't think it'll be like that going forward. I don't think it'll be a territory where every person has a say like Marquez had to deal with. What about the NWA working with those juggalos as they have Violent J or some clown in there? I don't know the Insane Clown possibly names. I mean, sure, there's a yes, the gathering of the juggalos. I wouldn't be shocked if they had an NWA presence at there. Do they still do a gathering of the juggalos? Is that still a thing? I don't know. Won't the territories lead to a lot of top guy promoters on Power? Potentially. But okay, so look at it this way. And I mean, let's be completely honest here. There's always been the quid pro quo, right? You take care of me, I take care of you. And we've seen it in the NWA recently, we've seen it in the past, and I'm sure we'll continue to see it. I don't think EC3 was made world champion because of this plan with Exodus Pro. I just think that was something that they kind of lined up afterwards. But I also think that that's going to help keep EC3 as world champion a little bit longer, because his promotion will now be promoting events under the NWA banner. I don't know that the NWA, when ECW was in that, they had their own style and booking. Eventually it left. It was just that's a whole different mess right there. Scott was a U.S. Tag Team Champion too. Yeah, that's okay. I guess I'm way behind. If NWA cut ties with AAA, do you think they would join the Strategic Alliance? If I am MLW, I wouldn't want the NWA to fill that void, right? Like, I want all the opportunity. So no, if I'm MLW, I would say no, I don't want to work with the NWA, and then I would imagine that wouldn't happen. Let's see. I'm riding with Kenzie over Holly. Would be good for viewers, but I'm rocking with Kenzie. I think Kenzie's the way to go. Is Tried and True still going? No, as far as I know, they aren't promoting. AAA wants to work with CMLL, but CMLL does not want to work with them per Conan. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Bring the NWA up to New York. Thanks for listening, Fiona. I appreciate you being here. NWA Dog, no, I don't think you're going to see that either. Minnesota was like first wrestling, as I remember. Gigi Dolan, as her normal name, was champ. I think she won it with Orange Cassidy or somebody. Yeah, I don't know about that, Dow. Sorry. In terms of Billy's NWA is like Star Trek, The New Generation. Similar name, but new cast. Still may make references to the past, but it's only NWA name. That's very apropos there, Mr. Scooby. Do you think if NWA cut ties with AAA? Oh, I think I already read that one. The WCW belts do carry NWA lineage, though. Yes. I think you could make the point that they share a lineage, but at the point when, yes, Jim Crockett titles did become WCW titles. 100%. Yes. The NWA didn't crown a set of its own world tag titles until like 94, 93. The same thing with every title in the NWA before 1993 was a membership title. The World Championship was the only title that was not directly from a singular promotion, but like the NWA tag titles, when you talk about the Jim Crockett tag titles, there were still NWA World Tag titles in San Francisco. There are NWA World Tag titles in Texas. So yeah, you're right. Those titles do carry that direct lineage from the NWA to WCW. But remember, Jim Crockett Promotions was not the NWA, right? The NWA was not Jim Crockett Promotions. When Jim Crockett Promotions sold to Turner, there was still an NWA. They didn't buy the NWA. They bought Jim Crockett Promotions, right? So it's different. Like I hear what you're saying, but it's different. NWA wanted EC3 as champion because of the Tyrus controversy. I think they wanted EC3 as champ because EC3 is a good champ. I think he embodies a lot what you want in your world's heavyweight champion. He's a talker. He's got a great look. He can wrestle in the ring. He can cut a promo. I mean, he's everything that Nick Aldis was, except for maybe a couple inches shorter and born in the United States. And I feel like majorly, the WWE gave up on him far too soon. And the WWE loss will be the NWA's gain. And Chris, you say that, right? I hear what you're saying, but you're wrong. They already did work with the NWA. You only have to go back as far as the Crockett Cup 2019 and 2018. Was it 2018 or 2019? 2019. And you saw CMLL tag teams were there. Snuka. Willie Bowen echoes my sentiment on EC3 because he's a true wrestler, and as opposed to an imitator who looks like a Goodyear blimp. Matt Cardona got injured, so NWA had to scramble. They dropped the ball on LA Knight, so EC3 is safe bet not to go anywhere, really. That's not even true either, man. I mean, things could change. Like, Impact could be calling tomorrow. MLW could be calling tomorrow. The guys that are under contract are under contract. The guys that hold titles are not going anywhere. But if New Japan called tomorrow and said, hey, EC3, we want to put you in the Tokyo Dome, you're going to be main eventing Wrestle Kingdom, he's going to jump at that. You're rooting for Mims? Mims is a good choice. Zicky Dice is a former champion. I don't think you could go wrong with either one of those guys. And also, before we end today's show, I think we should talk about this too, right? Because you have a new Tokyo Japanese pro wrestling princess champion and Max the Impaler. Another former NWA wrestler held that title in Thunder Rosa. Of course, it should be noted that Max the Impaler has now defended Max the Impaler defended their women's television championship in Finland and in Japan. Now Max holds two titles, one for TJPW and of course the other for the NWA. I think that Max should be celebrated for being a champion of two promotions, but more so being able to take the NWA Television Championship to Japan. That title is officially a world championship. Now, we know it was a world championship when Kenzie took it to Australia, but now with Max taking it to Japan, that title has now been defended in two separate countries outside of the U.S. It's huge. That's a huge accomplishment. And I think that the more telling of all of this is, look, there is a demand for NWA talent. There is a demand for NWA titles. This is a big deal. I think one that too many people are sleeping on. And I think this is something that a lot of people... Whoa, what's going on here? Sorry, my computer just decided to play a video. I think it's something that is very important and should be celebrated. This is a big deal. Let me see something here. My phone is blowing up now. I'm getting messages everywhere. All right, not important. Back to your comments. The first thing I read was Cardona was garbage. Coward Cardona was garbage. Oh, he'll be back at Samhain. He's going to be there. The announcement's been made. I think initially he was supposed to be in the UK during that weekend, but the booking fell through, and he will be with the NWA on October the 28th. What he'll be doing yet, we don't know, but maybe he'll be challenging for the TV title. Who knows? Now the great Hisa is going to throw some cold water on this hotness that is the title being defended in Japan. TJPW is a child promotion of DDT. A big deal, isn't it? I mean, I still think it's a pretty big deal. I know DDT is not New Japan. It's not All Japan. It's not Pro Wrestling Noah. But I feel like it's somewhat of a reasonably sized promotion. Now, of course, TJPW isn't that big either. But the fact that there's a demand to have the NWA Women's World the NWA Women's Television Champion defending their title in Japan, I think that's still a big deal. Now, maybe they didn't care if Max was champion. Maybe they didn't care if the television title was on the line. But the truth be told, it doesn't matter to me. The fact of the matter is, when I can pull up a picture of our women's television champion holding both belts, I think that's a pretty cool thing. More comments. Cardona got his butt kicked by Charlie Haas. Charlie Haas is overrated. I don't think EC3 is good. Is he better than Tyrus? Yeah, but he's a C-rank wrestler at best. If I was NWA, I'd go all out to get Dolph Ziggler. He's a main event guy with recognition. I mean, I don't detect any lies there. All right, he said even better. You did say it in a positive way. I want to be happy with the NWA. I want to be celebrating all this stuff. I don't know if I like the territory idea. I don't know if I like the fact that Exodus Pro is now part of the NWA. I don't get a vote on it, but I don't know how I feel about it. But this Thursday, when DKM, Jade, and I will be on the air, we'll talk about it. And I know that, of course, Jeremy and Tim and Dave, they're going to be talking about it too. It's a hot issue. The only reason why I'm not going all into it today is because I figure there's plenty to talk about outside of that. I like Matt Cardona a lot more as Married with Chelsea Green. Really was a good Logan Island. I don't know what that means. Oh, that is a lie. Dusty Rhodes didn't have bad knees like Jabba. I didn't read what you got you to there, but okay. EC3 is boring and his matches are nothing special. Okay, Carlton. That's the thing, man. Everyone is entitled to an opinion. And if you don't like EC3, I'm not going to bully you into liking him. I think he is a great performer. I saw him in motivated matches. I think he's really, really good. I think the real telltale issue will be his title match against Thom Latimer at Samhain. That'll be the measuring stick of how I look at EC3 going forward, because I think up until this point, he hasn't been forced to be that guy. Now, he had that match with Jay Bradley a couple of weeks ago on TV, and it was a fun match. But again, we didn't see the fight for your life EC3, and maybe we'll get that this October the 28th. Let's see. Jeez, really? Stunt double? Okay. But yeah, so we have again tonight's episode of POWERRR. Excuse me. We're gonna have two. Man, I'm getting a little dry over here. Sorry, guys. We've got two title matches tonight. Of course, we're going to crown a new television champion when Zicky Dice takes on Mims. And I also feel like I want to say that the NWA US tag titles are on the line, but I could be mistaken. I'm trying to look that up real quick. We know that the Southern Six will be taking on the Spectaculars, and that part of the Southern Six is going to be Alex Taylor and Mr. Kerry Morton. I guess I don't have the rest of the card available. I did earlier. I don't know where it's at now. I left that banner up. Sorry, guys. Take that down. One of these days I'll be good at my job, but not until another day, apparently. Is that a Walmart brand DDP? Are you talking about Zicky Dice? Zicky Dice? Zicky Dice is a brand name DDP? Is that what you're saying? I don't know what you're talking about. Shrek, I'm sorry, man. But yeah, I mean, again, we're gonna have a big night tonight on Power. Like I said, we'll have a new TV champion. The card should be, but it's not easily accessible at the moment. But I do feel like it's going to be a good night for wrestling. Obviously, Zicky Dice, Mims for that TV title, I think is going to be a big deal and really will set the stage what's next for the NWA. Of course, we saw the last two. We've seen two television champions take those best of seven, lucky sevens, and turn it into world title matches. And of course, we saw Tyrus win the title when he cashed in. We see Thom Latimer efforting to win the title at the Samhain pay-per-view. So this title could be very significant for whomever wins, whether it be Zicky Dice or Mims. So a lot. There's a lot on the line, and I think it's going to be very interesting to see how that plans out. But we're gonna end it now. We're gonna end the show now. You guys get ready. Of course, NXT and AEW are battling for your eyeballs after NWA Power tonight. So make sure you get home and there it is. Willie got it. James Storm. AJ Kazana has a mystery tag team partner as the Country Gentlemen to take on the U.S. Tag Champions, Talos and Daisy Kills. I knew that was there. Yeah, there it is. You guys were on it. You're ending 5 minutes early, dude. They start at 6:05. Yeah, my voice is starting to go, and I don't think we need to talk anything more about the territories because I want to save that for Thursday. So we're going to call it a day. But hey, I do appreciate each and every one of you guys being on the show today, joining in the chat. It really makes this a lot of fun. I have so much fun doing the weekly Tuesday podcast live stream, whatever you want to call it. Of course, like I said, Dave Scooby, Timmy Thunder, and Jeremy will be Championship Wrestling from Jeremy will be joining you tomorrow at 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific, as they talk about more about the new territory news, and as well as they'll be talking about MLW, the Night Wrestling Network, and so much more. And then, of course, on Thursday, my boys DKM and Jaden will be with me as we also further deep dive into this territory news and talk about what's going to happen next for the NWA. I appreciate you guys being here each and every week. And now I'm going to say goodbye to you and go enjoy Power and AEW or NXT, whichever you choose to watch. Have a good night, and I'll see you at the match.
Thanks for checking out the pre-party, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. You should hit that subscribe button and join our community. I also want to remind you that we recap NWA Power every Thursday at 8 p.m. in the live stream. We try to stay social, so find us at the Alliance blog. And until next time,